When it comes to Roger Federer, everyone's out of words. He's now won his record 19th Grand Slam title, his record 8th Wimbledon title, and all of that at the age of 35. So, just how should we look at Roger Federer and his legend? To talk about that, I have with me former world number 16 and India's premier tennis voice, Vijay Amritraj. Vijay, I don't know where to begin when it comes to Roger Federer. To take a 6 month layoff, come back and win against Rafa in a five-setter, thrilling Australian Open final, take a break again, and then to win Wimbledon, it's just magical.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, there are no words to describe it, as you rightly pointed out. But I think the what we should all do is kind of take a step back and see what this guy has been able to achieve. In a month's time, he turns 36, and I think he's managed his career beautifully. I think it really, honestly, comes down to that. And it doesn't hurt, of course, the way he plays the game. With such grace and elegance and such efficiency is probably the word, and exactly sort of the opposite of Rafa and Djokovic, taking nothing away from them, who are so physical and look a lot fitter. But I think it's the way he plays that gives him this longevity.
An eighth Wimbledon title, something that took 5 years in the making. It's been a long time that he's been chasing that record to get past Pete Sampras, isn't it? And it must feel like heaven for him.
Yes, I think so. In our day when Borg won those five in a row, we thought nobody was going to beat that. And then along came Sampras with that magnificent serve. And then he took 7 Wimbledons, which was quite unbelievable. And then we said, for sure, nobody's going to be able to break that. But they come along, as I always say, once in someone's lifetime, geniuses come along. And it's very, very rare. And you just hope that you've been part of that generation that has been able to see it. And, we see it in the 100. You never thought we'll see Usain Bolt come along. And then he came along, then you saw Schumacher. And you see this in various sports, but you see geniuses and you can tell right away that there's no one like them.
So I've been asking you this for a while now. Is he the greatest of all time? You always step that question because you've seen, various generations now. Will you call him now the greatest of all time without any conditions? And is he also the greatest athlete of our times? You mentioned the Michael Schumachers, the Michael Jordans, the Usain Bolts, all of these guys. Jack Nicklaus, he has 18, golf majors. Now Roger's gone past that with his 19th as well. So where would you place him in tennis and, of course, across sports?
Well, certainly the argument will continue. There's no question about it for a variety of reasons. But calling him the GOAT or the greatest of all time is not impossible at all. I mean, the guy has won more than anyone can think of possibly winning. But again, as I say, take one little step back and say two things have happened where there'll always be a niggling doubt in an older player's mind, and that would be the fact that the official Grand Slam was won by one man in 62 and 69, twice, one as an amateur and one as a professional, winning those 4 on 4 different surfaces. I mean, 3 on grass and, of course, 1 on clay. At a time, of course, Rod Laver, and of course, at a time when serve and volley was a big move during those days. Certainly, Borg's winning the 6 Frenches and 5 Wimbledons is always going to be stuck in my mind because I was very much a part of that generation. And then you come back to that second issue of him having a losing record against Rafa Nadal. And so we're going to have to question the fact that this man has won 10 French championships. He's won 5 other Grand Slams, singles titles, and to make it 15. So you're saying you're the greatest of all time, which I wouldn't disagree with, but you're second to a player in your own generation. So I think Nadal can always question it, though the problem, always say with men's tennis, that the 4 guys at the top are all way too nice. They are 4 of the nicest guys you can meet, individually, collectively, and on court and off court. They represent the game brilliantly and represent their countries brilliantly. So, I always now feel very, very bullish to say, oh yes, I play tennis as well,
Yes. I love that you said that because I didn't want to say this as a Rafa fan, but I always say if you beat the greatest consistently, aren't you the greatest? So Rafa can certainly make that claim. But across sports, the legend of Roger Federer, 19 Grand Slam titles, and by the looks of it, Vijay, he could win a few more. Who knows? He said at Wimbledon in his acceptance speech that I hope I'll be back next year. So he could go on.
Listen, the thing that amazes me about him is not just his fitness and his work ethic and his mental discipline and all of that, but it's the desire. You know, the one thing that Bjorn lost at 26 years of age was the desire. It was not anything else. I mean, he was working very hard. You know, he was mentally tough as anyone could be. At 70% toughness, he was better than everyone else. Mental toughness. So for Roger to have that desire to still want to win, to still want to break even further records, because he's only going against himself at this point in time. But to talk about the greatest athlete of all time, or the most famous athlete of all time, at least during this generation, someone asked me in the US the other day, who is more famous? Is it Virat Kohli or is it Tom Hardy? And this was after the Patriots had won the Super Bowl. And I said, Roger Federer. Because you could go to the smallest town in the Congo and you'd know Roger Federer is. And I think to a great extent what he's done very well also is to maintain the social network atmosphere of what he does. And the niceties of Federer has sort of resonated across all generations. So the older person wants him to win and the younger person wants him to win. You know?
Absolutely. He's a great ambassador for tennis. And as you mentioned, all the top four guys are great ambassadors. But given what happened with the rest three, yes, Rafa won that 10th French Open title, and that's a legend in itself, and perhaps never going to be broken again. But Djokovic and Murray with their injury concerns, Rafa with his injury concern, where do you see the top four vis-a-vis Federer now? I mean, is it going to be Federer at the US Open, or do you think it's still very much open?
Well, again, the hard court is a lot more bruising on the body, number one. So the ball bounces a lot higher. So we're going to see Roger coming more forward like he did at the Australian Open to take the backhand off the rise a lot more. But I think the racket and the string job has really consistently helped him, certainly as he's come back after the 6-month layoff. But let's not forget, those guys are 30 years of age. And even if they have a bad 3 months, they're going to be able to come back and do it. Granted, they're more physical in their play. That's one thing. But again, the heat in New York is going to make a big difference. August, September in New York is brutal. You know, you can fry an egg on the sidewalk. It is one of those places where you really have to come in with 7 good matches. And then you hope you don't get stopped to play 2 matches back to back. I think Roger got also a bit lucky here where he didn't have to play those 5-set matches earlier on. The first week made a huge difference to him. So coming into the US Open, I think you're going to see the big four again very much there. But the Cilics of the world, the Berdiches, the Raonics, and the Zverevs and the Wawrinkas, all these guys are going to make a huge difference on the hard court.
But tell me, Vijay, you watched Roger Federer play at the Australian Open and Wimbledon now. What is it that you feel is making the difference in the tennis? How would you describe? It seems like his serve is even better now. You know, he's getting so many free points. And that whipping backhand cross court, which was on display in that final against Rafa and all through Wimbledon. Technically, what do you think he's done that's making it so amazingly beautiful for him?
Well, let's step back before the Australian Open for just a minute, because when he came back there, I saw a complete transformation in his game in 3 things that took place. I think the first was the fact that he's playing with a better racket as far as he's concerned for his age. I think that makes a huge difference. Secondly, the string job that he's done also with his racket has made a huge, huge difference. And then, I think to a great extent, what he's done with the backhand, you have to give credit to someone like Ljubicic. Because what he has done is he has moved forward at least 2 full steps in to be able to strike the backhand and not kind of play defensive off of it. Today, it's an offensive shot. It's a brutally offensive shot, which means not only do you have to stay away from his forehand, you have to stay away from his backhand, which means the only thing you can do is make a quick plane reservation. So I think that has given him immense confidence on the serve, so he's serving a lot better.
All right. At the end of it, though, it's a great time to be a tennis fan, isn't it? Do you see him continuing and, you know, having that desire that he talked about even at Wimbledon, that if you believe that you can do it, you can do it. And that's what he told himself. How long do you really see Roger going?
Well, I think he's going to go on till his 4 children understand what it means to have a Federer as a father. I think, honestly, that's why he should be playing. That should motivate him to continue to play. Yeah. Because the girls, as he said yesterday, you know, they only come out for the finals. Yeah. And the boys certainly don't know what's happening just yet. You know, they think it's a big playground. I think all of this means a lot to him. He's in a very happy place in his life, it looks like. I think Mirka has made a huge difference to keep that happiness in place. Because a tennis player is always very selfish. You have to be selfish about your career and what you have to do. I think Roger has managed that beautifully. He's at a good place in his life. And I think all of us tennis fans have enjoyed the joy that we see in him.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He looks like a very happy man, and he's made all tennis fans happy on cloud 19 and maybe cloud 20 to come by this September. Vijay, always a pleasure to talk to you, and we hope to have you back on Republic TV.
Thank you.